got one already. Just before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. You've probably noticed we have these electronic devices to speak on now. They are very simple to use. When invited to talk, you would just press the red button and that would turn on your mic. And and turn it off afterwards. Just remember to do that. Otherwise, we're going to be saying, can you turn your mic off? Or I've got to press a button on here and all sorts. So be aware of that. Also be aware of the white tape on the floors. That has been deliberately done as white. It was changed from black earlier on today, so it was easier to see. So just be aware of that. Another bit of housekeeping just on masks. I've just asked, because a member's asked me myself, if you're seated, I think the advice is that you can take your mask off. But if you was to stand, I think the advice would probably be you should put it on. I think it might be advisable we stay seated if we're addressing this meeting, but I'm fairly relaxed on that. Okay, I'm going to go straight into the agenda now. We are live on YouTube, just to note the usual housekeeping on that as well. Is the stream live? Yes, I'm being told the stream is live. Excellent. And item 1 on the agenda is to elect a business chair for the ensuing year. I've go over to Councillor Sanderson.
I would like to nominate Councillor Flux.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wearmouth has his hand up there. I believe I moved to a vote at that point. All those in favour? I'm suggesting that that's a majority of the room. And thank you very much for your support from across the political divide. It's very humbling. We won't be electing a deputy business chair, but I'm sure that will come to in the agenda further along. Item 2, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence? Neil?
Councillors Robinson and Darwin.
Right, that's Councillor Robinson and Darwin. Any others? No, I can't see any others. Thank you very much. Item 3 is to appoint a civic head and a deputy civic head for the ensuing year. Do we have a nomination for civic head? I'll go to Councillor Sanderson. And just to remind you, Councillor Sanderson, there's a button next to you if you want to turn your mic on.
I would like to nominate Councillor Hutchison.
I think that's being seconded by Councillor Stewart. Is that correct? Okay, so we've got a proposal and nomination for Councillor Hutchinson. Can I have a show of hands on that, please? Any against? No, I'm taking that as read that that's passed. Okay, and just to appoint a deputy civic head. Do we have a nomination for deputy civic head? I see Councillor Oliver has his hand up. Do you want to press your button to speak?
Could I nominate Councillor Sesford, please?
Okay, and do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Homer is seconding that. Can I have a show of hands to approve that? Thank you very much. Anyone against? We'll take it as read that that's been approved. And now we have Susan Taylor is going to do the necessary ceremony, or how we want to describe it. Okay, are we all done there? I think we're
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. We'll look forward to you working over the next civic year on many good causes, no doubt.
It's been an honour to have served this last year, well, this last 2 years really, but this year's been a non-eventful year because of COVID. Unfortunately, fundraising ended in November in 19, so I just had 6 months anyway of fundraising. Managed to raise 5,000, just over 5,200 and something for My Name's Doddy, motor neuron disease. and that will be, I'll carry on with that charity again and try and raise more money for it this time.
Thank you. That's an excellent cause.
Thank you very much.
I move on to item 4 on the agenda, which is minutes. Minutes of the following meeting of County Council as circulated to be confirmed as a true record, signed by the business chair and sealed with the common seal of the council. And the first set of those is on page 9 to page 12, and then on page 13 to page 44. Can I have those approved as a true record? I hear and agreed, moved by Councillor Sanderson, seconded by Councillor Dodd, if that's okay. And we'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, declaration of members' interests. Does anyone have an interest to raise in line with the text in front of them? I cannot see anybody with a hand up. Councillor Dickinson.
Chair, just for confirmation, can we have confirmation that all newly elected and re-elected members have submitted their declarations so we can view them?
I will ask someone from Democratic Services. Can anyone confirm that? I'm hearing that it's believed they have been, but that can be checked. I think there were 28 days to submit them, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Item 6 is the returning officer to submit to the return of the persons elected as councillors on the 6th of May, as set out in Appendix 1, page 169 to 182. Can I just say, as the business chair, congratulations to everyone who was elected, commiserations to anyone who was not re-elected, who was seeking return to office, and our best wishes to anyone who retired as well. Well, thank you very much for that. We also thank the returning officer for the splendid delivery of this election and all of the staff involved. From my perspective, I thought it was delivered impeccably well in very challenging circumstances. So I would just like to say well done to all of the staff involved in that process. Thank you very much now. Okay. I'll go on to point 7.1, to appoint a member who will be recognised as the leader of the council. I see Councillor Dodd has your hand up.
I would like to nominate Councillor Glenn Sanderson.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? I have Councillor Watson has his hand up. Thank you very much. Okay, I will move to a show of hands on that. I've just been asked, can I have a debate on that? Why would... I'm told that's not usual to have a debate, so... yeah. Are there any other nominations? Okay, I'll just move to there being no other nominations.
Chair, can I just clarify, because usually members would be given the opportunity to explain why they're voting in a particular way.
I don't recall that at any meeting I've been at previously. Okay, we're just having a bit of legal chat here.
I don't see why, that opportunity can't be given just to make a statement.
Yeah. Okay, I'm being told that you could potentially make any comment on that afterwards. Councillor Jackson, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just to simplify matters, I just propose that we move straight to the vote as per the Constitution.
I'd be inclined to agree with you there. Can I move to a vote on there, please?
Chair, can I just ask what exact part of the procedures you're referring to? It might be protocol for normally people to just nod through, but normal procedure would allow a proposal has been put to elect Councillor Sanderson, and surely people would be able to say, debate this before moving to the vote, even if it's not normal, usually done. I'm sure that the rules would allow us to do that.
Right. It is a motion. It has been... Yes.
If we could just quote the actual rules, and if it's
Because it's a motion that's been put, they should be able to debate if they choose to. So that's what Neil's advice.
Right. Okay, so a motion's been put forward. I'm being told there should be a debate there. And perhaps Neil might want to turn his microphone on to explain his thinking rather than me. Yeah, I will come to you.
Yes, Chair. Sorry for the confusion. Whilst it's not normal procedure, of course, it is a motion. It has been seconded, and the rules of procedure states that a debate can ensue in that situation. So if there are points that members wish to make, then I suppose this is an opportune moment to make them.
Okay. Councillor Jackson, you've been waving frantically at me.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it's also written quite clearly in the Constitution that when a debate is instituted, a member may propose that we move straight to the vote.
And are you proposing that,
I am
Councillor Jackson?
proposing that,
And
yes.
it's somebody, Councillor Castle, you're seconding that. Okay, so I will move straight to a vote then. Yeah. Okay, we have to vote on that question being put. So can I have a show of hands for moving straight to the vote then, please? I think that's a clear majority of the room. Okay, we're going to count that. Okay, so keep your hands up.
Yeah, they're starting off in a transparent way, isn't it?
Okay, thank you. 38 supporting that. So I move straight to the vote then.
So we have a name vote, Chair.
I've been asked for a name vote. I believe I need to see is it a fifth of the room? So a fifth of people wanting a name vote. I'm taking that as read. There's a fifth of people there. Okay, so we'll move to a name vote then. Yeah, do you want to put your microphone on? And please remember to use your mics when voting.
It is now, Chair. Just checking that. Yeah, that's working, Chair. Okay. I'll just read through everyone's names, and if you could indicate whether you are in favour of the motion. Councillor Ball.
That's Councillor Ball. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Councillor Bourne. 4. Councillor Bainan. 4. Councillor Bowman. Against. Councillor Bridget. It's not working here either, so against. Councillor Carr. 4. Councillor Carty. I could hear you, Councillor.
No, Neil. It's just when somebody switches on, they need to switch off so the next one can come in.
I see. If councillors could switch their microphone off once they've indicated the vote, so the next councillor could come in. Councillor Castle.
4.
Councillor Sesford.
4.
Councillor Clark.
Against.
Councillor Dale. That was abstain, Councillor, yeah. Councillor Daly.
4.
Councillor Dickinson.
Against.
Councillor Dodd.
For.
Councillor Dunbar.
For.
Councillor Dunn.
Against.
Councillor Ecclvelgan. Esselchelvan. Sorry, Councillor.
Egil Shelvan. My vote is for.
4. Councillor Ferguson.
For.
Councillor Flux.
For.
Councillor Foster.
Against.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Grimshaw.
Against.
Councillor Hardy.
For.
Councillor Hill.
Shambolic leadership against.
Councillor Homer.
Very for.
We are in the middle of a vote. Can I say we are in the middle of a vote here? Please, can we just keep to the vote and no other chatter, please?
Councillor Horncastle.
For.
Councillor Humphrey. Councillor Hunter.
For.
Councillor Hutchinson.
For.
Councillor Jackson.
For.
Councillor Jones.
For.
Councillor Kennedy.
Abstain.
Councillor Lang. Councillor Lee.
For.
Councillor Mather.
For.
Councillor Morfett.
For.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Nisbet.
Against.
Councillor Oliver.
For.
Councillor Parry. Councillor Patterson.
For.
Councillor Plojaj.
For.
Councillor Purvis.
Against.
Councillor Reid. Councillor Renner Thompson.
For.
Councillor Richardson.
Against.
Councillor Riddle.
For.
Councillor Sanderson.
For.
Councillor Scott. Councillor
Can you clarify which Scott?
Yes, sorry, that.
Yeah. Sorry, that was Councillor A. Scott, I think. Do we have against? Councillor P. Scott.
Yeah. For.
Councillor Seymour.
For.
Councillor Sharp.
For.
Councillor Simpson.
Against.
Councillor Stewart.
For.
Councillor Swinbank. Councillor Swinburne.
For.
Councillor Taylor. Councillor Thorne.
For.
Councillor Towns.
For.
Councillor Waddell.
Against.
Councillor Wallace.
Against.
Councillor Watson. That's A. Watson.
Against.
Councillor J. Watson.
For.
Councillor Wearmouth. Councillor Wilczek. Okay, just be a few minutes to
Okay.
top those up, Chair.
Thank you very much for your patience in that. It's very difficult in these circumstances. And also, my apologies for myself if I do struggle with new names here and with the fact that it's quite difficult to see at the back of the room from here. But thank you very much for all your patience.
totted them up. Yeah, 2 abstentions. That's what I've got. 39-25.
2014.
Yeah. Okay, Chair. Shall I announce? Chair, the result of that vote was 39 in favour, 24 against and 2 abstentions. That's carried.
Okay, I will invite Councillor Sanderson to come to the head of the room. Okay, if Councillor Sanderson would like to address the meeting.
Am I allowed to sit down? Is that okay with everyone? Okay, thank you. Secondly, I need to say that I've had an operation fairly recently, which makes my throat quite difficult to speak for long periods of time. You'll be glad to hear. So I'll be as brief as I can, but if I sound old and croaky, probably because I am really, but I will do the best I can. So bear with me if you don't mind. Mr. Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to announce my new cabinet. And I think there's going to be a sort of parade type thing where they come through doors. And
Yeah.
I know that Jackie's
I
got
hope
this.
not.
I know that Jackie and Karen and Tracy have made a fantastic job of organising this. So may I introduce, as Deputy Leader, taking the Corporate Services role, Richard Wearmouth. The Business Chair is Barry Flux, as you know. Adults Wellbeing is Wendy Patterson. Community Services, Colin Horncastle. Business, Wojciech Plozjak. Children and Young People, Guy Renner-Thompson. Healthy Lives, Jeff Watson. And Local Services, John Riddle.
And I'd invite those members to come to the top table now.
And thank you. And thank you. And while they're doing that, Mr. Chairman, can I also announce that I'm introducing 3 new Deputy Cabinet members who will actually stay where they are, I think. One is Corporate Services, which we picked up by Paul Scott, who will work with Richard Wearmouth. Adult Wellbeing, Catherine Seymour, who will primarily be picking up the Equality and Diversity role, and Christine Dunbar, who will be helping with Community Services. While they're taking their places, can I take this opportunity to thank members who are standing down from Cabinet. I am immensely grateful for the work that they've done. And so I formally thank Veronica Jones, Nick Oliver, and Richard Dodd, all of whom have given great sterling service. I'd also like to thank those of you who voted for me and those of you who've given me support today. It means a great deal, and I'm most grateful to you. Those that have not been quite so energetic in putting their voice towards supporting me, all I can say is that the only way this council will continue to perform greatly is if we do work together. I will always be happy to meet with other members at any time, and that is sincerely felt. And I hope very much that we can work together for this brilliant council that we've got. I'm exceptionally grateful to residents of Northumberland who have allowed us to continue the programme of work that we've been carrying out for the last 4 years. We will continue to look after people who need our help most. We will continue to be heavily involved in regeneration across the county, in our schools, adult care, our roads, our open spaces, and in our very ambitious and fine climate change action plan. None of these, ladies and gentlemen, would be possible without the fantastic staff that we have in the council, and I thank each and every one of them for everything they've done, particularly over the last year, which has been very difficult with COVID and other issues, and they have continued to perform those roles fantastically well. I am most grateful to each and every one of you, and I look forward to working with you ahead of next year. I also would like to welcome new members to the Council. I look forward to meeting you all, and if you ever have any issues that you wish to discuss with me, please contact me. I'll be most happy to meet you anytime. There are one or two other things I would like to add, Mr. Chairman. First of all, this election has seen some new members coming, but it's seen some old members leaving. I'm thinking particularly, for example, and I say old, I don't mean old in age, I mean long-serving. Some long-serving members, and I'm meaning here Ian Swithenbank, David Ledger, Anthony Murray, just to name three. And it seems to me wrong that we don't have some form of recognition to them to be able to say thank you, whatever their political party, or however difficult they might have been at times, to say thank you and to recognise that formally. So I've asked Jackie if she will see if we can look again at the issue around aldermen, to see if we can reintroduce that and make that run and fly again, because I think we should, and we should properly celebrate and thank them for that. So that's in hand. As soon as possible, I want to reintroduce, as soon as we're able to, regular visits to parish and town councils by myself and members of the Cabinet. I've found those visits extremely useful and very helpful, and I think our relationship with most parish and town councils now is better than it was. I want that to continue, and I want that to work as well as it can, so that by the end of the 4 years, we will have visited or offered to visit each and every one of the parish and town councils across the county. I will also continue to have interactive sessions for the public on things like the budget. Now, I know one or two of you had a bit of fun with that at Christmas time, but it's a genuine attempt to inform and get views and work with the public. So we will continue that, and we will make that work. We will also have a review of allowances and committee places and positions. The last time this was done by the Independent Remuneration Panel was 2013. So it's almost 8 years ago. So I think it's time that that happened again, and I have asked for that. I'm also asking for a review of our local area councils. They've worked very well, I think, generally, for the last 4 years, and the idea was a good one. But I think they need to be looked at and some areas refreshed. So I've asked for a review. Again, I've asked Jackie to liaise with Sean in scrutiny to look at perhaps Durham, for example, and Cumbria and other similar counties to ours to see if we can revamp and refresh the local area councils. And finally, it has been my wish for some time to have an independent chair of the Audit Committee. And so I've therefore asked that that recruitment begins so that we will soon have an independent chair of the Audit Committee. I think that's me done.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. May I thank you again, all of you who supported me, and I hope very much that we will work together well in the future.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'm just going to add something to the agenda because I seem to have item 6 on the agenda, questions, which doesn't actually appear to be in my booklet. So I'm going to go to members' questions now before I forget. So I'm going to go to question 1 from Councillor Hill, and I've got to Councillor Riddle. Councillor Hill.
Caught me slightly in the hop there. Okay. Question number 1. Between 1st of May 2017 and the 1st of May 2021, how much has Northumberland County Council spent on the employment of dog wardens, and what is the total amount of fines issued for dog fouling during this time?
Thank you. I've got a response here for you. The dog warden function of the council are delivered by a senior and 4 animal welfare officers within public protection team. They have a wide range of duties, including investigation of dog welfare and cruelty cases, stray dog collection, dog fouling, and support for the council's Green Dog Walkers scheme, which has been very successful. In their role, they are supported by environmental enforcement officers who also undertake dog fouling patrols. The cost of the council's dog warden function, including the assistance from environmental enforcement officers, is for the 4 years from the 1st of May 17 to the 1st of May 21 estimated at a total of £1,086,280, which is an average cost for that period of £271,570 per year. During the same period, a total of £15,240 in fixed penalty fines for dog fouling were issued. An additional £2,442 in fines and costs was obtained through prosecution at the courts for dog fouling offences.
Thank you. Supplementary, Councillor Hill.
Thank you for that fulsome answer. Can I just ask then, because obviously the point behind my question was, and we all had this obviously election time and everyone was shoving, dog fouling on the leaflets and, without necessarily saying how they're going to tackle the problem. And the obvious simple one is by dog wardens catching and finding people. And there might be a presumption that with more dog warden activity, there's more fines which cover the cost. Can I take it from the figures that you've got that there isn't an option or model to actually make it cost effective? There still will not be a great deal of fines and recovered? Or is it the fact that, like much of enforcement, it does just need a lot more teeth?
I think the honest answer to that is that, we do try to have a proactive approach and to advise and coerce people into conforming. I don't think you will ever get to a point whereby the fines will balance the cost of enforcement. But, the benefit to the public, the benefit to the environment, the benefit to tourism, etc., from having clean beaches and clean footpaths, etc., I think is immense, and I think it is worth what we do.
Thank you very much, Councillor Riddle. I go to question 2, again from Councillor Hill, and it's going to be to me this time.
Thank you. Just if you could, that does still mean there's roughly one fine a day in the whole of the county. But I could tell everyone was interested in that area, so I would just point out it doesn't seem an awful lot for the whole county. Roughly one a day, to be continued. For my second question.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. I'll let you get to question 2, please.
So in light of the fact that the government has not currently extended the law allowing council meetings to be held remotely, what reassurance can you give that we are not about to enter a period where all, or virtually all, planning applications are going to be determined under delegated powers and outside of committee?
Okay, and I'm going to answer this one. We are finalising arrangements for the return of physical planning committees, with first meeting of the Strategic Planning Committee being scheduled for the 8th of June. Public speaking in person will return, and non-participating members of the public will be able to attend and watch the planning committees via live streaming. Supplementary.
Thank you. I'm not sure you quite answered the second part, which is my concern that more planning applications are going to be determined under delegated power. Can we have some assurance, because this issue has come up recently, that if a member wants to call in an application for reasons of, the importance of the application, the extra scrutiny that's brought by bringing it to committee, the democratic point, and so on, can you give me some assurance that if a member now says that they want an application in their area to be called in, it will indeed be called in and not put through the delegated system?
What I will propose to do with that, Councillor Hill, myself in liaison with the new portfolio holder and with the head of planning, will get a written response to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I go to Councillor Taylor. Welcome to Council with your question for Councillor Wearmouth.
Thank you very much. Bedlington Town Council have tried for the past several years to get information on the regeneration of the town centre. So under the redevelopment, it commenced with a budget of 12.5 million, and I understand this was to include the land acquisition fees of 3.5 million and planning fees of 1.7. So what's the current available funding? Because there seems to be a lot of fog around this. And what are the plans to deliver a revitalised town centre to Bedlington, please? Thank you.
Right, okay, there we go. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. So I'll read the reply that I've got, which has been provided by the officers to this. Following the acquisition of the site, Cabinet agreed in June 2019 a revised development budget of 8.735 million. However, following the COVID pandemic and national retailers withdrawing from the original scheme, a revised approach was developed in order to retain Aldi, who remain keen to proceed as the anchor development, and indeed you'll see them active on site already with their signs up. And the new phased approach, therefore, was agreed and approved by Cabinet on the 12th of January 2021. And so the initial funding for those parts of the work was 5.42 million. This will see the delivery of the phase 1 of the project, which is the new Aldi store and the various site works, services, car parking, access roads, and then phase 2, which is the redevelopment of the marketplace to provide new retail terrace with residential units above. Aldi started work on the 26th of April, I think it was, on the store and the car park, and will be complete in time for Christmas 2021. Demolition work is scheduled to start on the marketplace in early June, with the main redevelopment works commencing shortly after, and the new terrace is scheduled to be completed by the end of March 2022. And then the County Council continues to work with Advance on the options for future phases, which could potentially include a new cultural or leisure hub, and obviously with us coming out of the COVID pandemic, that's a bit that would be really interested to hear on your views, those of Malcolm and your fellow councillor from Bedlington, Rebecca, I believe it is, who's been elected. Thank you.
Supplementary?
Thank you. Yes. Would it be possible to share these plans with the residents of Bedlington? And would it be possible to firm up any more funding that's going to become available, that could potentially become available, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really hoping that as part of what we're going to get back to is regular public consultation. I think as politicians, we've all been through a time which is very unfamiliar with us, really. We're all, as people, we like to be engaging and finding out what it is that people want, and it's been so challenging in the time since COVID has struck. And already I'm talking to, and I have been talking to some of the Regen team, and I know that Wojciech will be wanting to pick this up, I'm sure, about getting back out there, finding out what it is that people want, telling them what our plans are and seeing what their views are on those, and getting suggestions and feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. My predecessor has texted me to inform me that questions were item 13. I was looking frantically for them. I thought we'd missed them. So thank you very much, Richard. I'll go back to the agenda properly then, and I'll go to item 8.1 and 8.2, which is to appoint chairs and vice chairs to committees and working groups as set out in Appendix 2, and appointment of committees on Appendix 3 and page 185 to 220. What I'm going to say here, and I'm going to say it for point 9 as well, there has been some changes in terms of group sizes and such like, so I think full information on this will be provided in due course by Democratic Services, and if anyone wants to contact me about it, please do. My emails, I will always respond to emails and your phone calls. I will operate an open door policy. Please do just get in touch with me. Thank you. So that's point 8.1, 8.22 for those. And I'll go for point 9 on the agenda, appointment to outside bodies as well at that stage. I move on to point 10 on the agenda, which is announcements by the business chair, leader or head of paid service. I have none. I do not believe that the head of paid service or leader has any announcements to make other than what I've said previously about the good conduct at the election, and to welcome all new members. There's quite a few of you. I really do hope you enjoy being councillors, and I really hope you see that you can progress work in your local communities, whatever party you represent, or even if you don't represent a party. I'm sure that you will find it a rewarding experience, and I'm sure you will do your best for your residents. Correspondence, item 11, I have no correspondence. So I move to point 12, which is to receive an update from the Director of Public Health on COVID. So I pass over to Liz Morgan, who is going to deliver this update. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Particularly Councillor Dale in the corner. Great, thank you very much. Okay, so I'll start with the sort of national, regional, local perspective. So nationally, we are starting to see an increase in community infection. So the ONS surveillance data is telling us that in the first couple of weeks of May, the prevalence of infection in communities in England increased from one in 1,340 to 1 in 1,110. We are seeing an increase in cases in some regions, particularly in the northwest. So from an LA7 perspective, 5 of the local authorities have relatively low rates, of which Northumberland is one, putting us all pretty much back to where we were at the beginning of August. But Newcastle has got case rates which are slightly higher. They've been a little bit higher for a while, and of course you'll appreciate that North Tyneside has seen quite a significant increase in cases, but that is now stabilising. Clearly there is a lot of concern at the moment about the new variant, particularly in North Tyneside. There's been a bit of confusion over the guidance, which has been clarified in the last 24 hours. And just to confirm that there are no restrictions in movement in and out of North Tyneside. The majority of the Indian variant cases that we're seeing in the northeast are associated with this North Tyneside cluster. The cases are largely linked to other cases and known settings, and actually that's a really good news story, because if we were seeing sporadic cases that we couldn't link to other cases or other settings, that would suggest that we had widespread community or wider spread community transmission. In Northumberland, we've had less than a handful of cases, and they all have established links. There's a lot that we don't know about the Indian variant, but obviously the evidence is emerging all the time. What we do know is that this variant is more transmissible than the Kent variant, which is the one that we were concerned about before Christmas, and is also the one which is now dominant across the country. And from a local perspective, we're also seeing the impact of that increased transmissibility. So what we're finding is that in households that have a case of Indian variant, the majority of the other individuals in that household will go on to develop a PCR positive infection. We've got no evidence that this variant has any impact on clinical disease, so it's no worse than the variant which is currently circulating. And we also know, or we've got emerging evidence that the vaccines are effective after 2 doses. From a North Tyneside response perspective, they have put additional testing across the local authorities, so they've put in additional mobile testing units. They've increased the opportunity for vaccination, particularly in those people in cohorts 1 to 9, so people over the age of 50, people with long-term conditions. So offering that first dose to people who haven't taken up the offer the first time round, but also bringing forward the second doses for that particular cohort. And that increased opportunity for vaccination has been supported by Northumberland's roving vaccination bus. From a Northumberland perspective, we're obviously continuing our active surveillance of the data. And we do that so that we can establish any linked cases. We've shifted some of our roving asymptomatic community collect testing to those wards which border on North Tyneside, and we've requested that the local testing sites in Ashington and Blythe revert to doing symptomatic testing all day, whereas for the last couple of months they've been doing PCR, so symptomatic testing in the morning, and have been doing community collect for asymptomatic tests in the afternoon. Obviously, vaccination is a really important part of our control plan, and I think the vaccination programme has been a phenomenal success. So up until the 16th of May, in Northumberland, 322,000, actually over 322,000 vaccinations have been delivered to Northumberland residents, and the vast majority of those were delivered in primary care. So as things stand at the moment, about 2/3 of those are first doses, so about 92% of the population over the age of 40 has had that first vaccine, and about 90% of over 65s have had the second vaccine. So that's really good news, because actually as a county the uptake for the vaccine has been extremely high, and actually in terms of care home residents and staff we've got one of the highest uptakes in England. Supplies are really good at the moment, and the logistics chain is sort of starting to recover, but obviously the vaccination or the vaccine which is coming through at the moment is Pfizer. And if you'll recall, it's the Pfizer vaccine that has the special storage requirements, and it also requires people having a first dose to hang around for 15 minutes just to make sure that they don't have a reaction. So that presents us with a bit more of a logistical challenge. The other challenge has been bringing forward these second doses from 12 weeks to 8 weeks, because that's had to involve our primary care networks and our GPs contacting all of those patients to rearrange their appointments. We've still got 10 primary care network sites operational. The sites in the West are still delivering second doses to those people in cohorts 1 to 9. And of course the Hexham Mart large vaccination site opened last week, which is a really good news story. We've also got 7 community pharmacy sites which are up and running, and we've got the roving model, which has been incredibly successful, both in terms of servicing some of our remote geographies, but also in terms of going to particular workplaces where actually those individuals might struggle to access vaccination. So it has been a fantastic response. The planning at the moment is really focused on the autumn booster programme. We don't really know what that's going to look like, but ideally we want to be giving flu at the same time as COVID. So lots of planning going in on to look at that at the moment. I think in terms of final messages, the thing that we really need to communicate to our communities is that we're absolutely not out of the woods. Because what we know from previous experience is that what happens in one area invariably has repercussions in other areas. So we really need people to continue to follow that hands, face, space, fresh air guidance. We need to encourage people to take up that offer of vaccination, actually not just the first dose. They really need to come back for the second dose to get fully vaccinated. We need to encourage people to get regularly tested using those lateral flow devices, and I think we've struggled to engage the public to really embrace that concept. And we need to continue to encourage people to get themselves tested if they become symptomatic, however mild those are. Get tested and self-isolate. And also, because we know that household transmission is a significant factor in spreading infection, we really need to encourage households, if they're going to meet with another household, to have those meetings outside, because actually we know the risk of passing on infection outside is much lower. So I think the bottom line is that being cautious now will make a significant difference in the weeks to come, and hopefully we'll continue along the roadmap at the pace that we're continuing. That was all I was going to say, but obviously I'm very happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, I've got Councillor Hill, and can I ask that we keep questions brisk and that we can get the business done? Thank you.
Thank you. It's just on the ongoing issue of people being reluctant to take the vaccine. There was a resident in my division who sadly died from complications after the vaccination. Obviously not going to give any more detail for the privacy of the family, but obviously medical opinion is this is a tiny percentage, and any other medicine and vaccination there is sadly but a very small proportion. What do you believe is the sort of percentage of people that will have a serious complication or will die after having one of the vaccinations?
So, I mean, I think the concerns to date have revolved around the AstraZeneca vaccine, but of course none of those vaccines are side effect free. The last time I looked at the data for those very rare clotting and bleeding incidents, the incidence was, I think, about 1 in 250,000, and the risk of dying was about 1 in a million. So they are, vanishingly rare, but for the families involved, it's obviously absolutely tragic.
Do we have anyone else who has a question? I can see Councillor Dale at the back of the room. I think your mic should be working there.
Oh, thank you very much. Can I just say, first of all, to Mr Morgan, thank you very much for
Councillor Dale, can you move your mic closer to your mouth? You should be able to hear from there.
Is that better? Yeah. Just first of all, can I say thank you to Mrs Morgan for all she's done and all her officers have done over the last year and a half. Their work's been actually exemplary, and all the information that they've passed on to us and the briefings they have given us have helped us all so much in working with our communities. Can I just ask, all members here obviously will know all the wonderful work that's been done, but moving to the future, how will you be taking these briefings forward? I don't expect one weekly as we had before or fortnightly, but will there be a regular input into members so they can ask questions and they actually understand the implications of where the council is as far as the research in COVID-19?
Can I just come in before Liz does in terms of communicating? We probably will be looking to have briefings as and when they are required. I think we'll take a open view on that as the situation may or may not develop. As I say, I think the stage of needing those weeklies is probably finished. So,
absolutely.
So I'll pass over to Liz if she's got anything else to say there.
No, I mean, obviously, if anything really significant emerges, then we will communicate that as part of our sort of routine members' briefing.
Thank you.
Do any other members? I can see Councillor Hunter. Welcome back, Councillor Hunter. I'll let you ask your question.
Yes, it's more just a concern up in the north area. We have had a few attacks on slight areas and small rural areas against the anti-vaccination, where there's been damage done, and it has been reported to the police, but also stickers put on notice boards and bits and pieces, which is, it's upsetting the community, and it could start making people think we shouldn't go for vaccination. Just making sure that you're aware of it, and as to how we can keep this proactive campaign going, because it has been very proactive.
Yeah, thank you. We've had a similar problem in Morpeth. So some of the signs there have been vandalised, and like you, all of that information has been shared with Northumbria Police. And I think that's actually happened across quite a few local authority areas. So we're not unique.
Okay, are there any other, if you're at the back, you might want to shout out with your button because I can't see you, particularly on the left-hand side. I'll give you a couple of seconds. No, I can't see anyone or hear anyone. So thank you very much for that, Liz. Thanks for delivering that under the circumstances here. Right, now I just need to go back. Sorry, Councillor Bridget?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. You might have been going back to what I was going to bring up, I'm not sure, but it is a point of clarification if you'll permit me a couple of minutes, because I'm a little bit confused on the report that we were presented with at this.
Can I go back to it first? Because
Yeah,
it might actually
by all
answer
means.
your point. I've been asked to state that on point agenda item 8, I need to move, second, vote or affirm all items that final appointments to be confirmed to the Chief Executive by groups, and the Chief Executive granted delegated authority to make final appointments in accordance with group nominations to these places. Am I on the same wavelength there?
Yes, but I'd just like to raise a clarification. Obviously, some of the working group numbers have changed, and I've just had a chance to actually read it and go through the report since we were given it. But you can see on some of the allocations to committees where it says where other groups have allocated them to, where groups have allocated them to other groups. Yeah. But actually, on item number 11 and item number 2, so the Climate Change Working Group and the Town and Parish Council Liaison Working Group, it actually has names in there already or where they've been allocated. My understanding is that was for debate between the smaller minority groups to determine who's put on there, unless I'm assuming the Conservative group as the administration is giving one of their positions to those people, but it doesn't specify it.
I can say, without boring us going into every single line, that there are instances where we have gifted our places to other
It's just those two don't clarify it, where others, all the rest do, those two specifically don't say that.
To be fair to officers, I think this has been typed up earlier today.
Okay.
Okay, so can I ask that that's, do we affirm to that in there? Do I hear agreed? Is that sufficiently legal, Neil? Right, can I have a mover and a seconder, I'm being asked. I see Councillor Castle is moving, Councillor Stewart is seconding. Are we agreed there? Oh, sorry, Scott, I missed you. I'll put you second. Let's do it cross-party. So seconded by Councillor Dickinson. There we are. Okay, are we all agreed with that? Agreed. Thank you. Well, that's all done. We're all above board. Thank you. Okay, I'll return back to the agenda and I will go to point 14, is to receive the minutes of the Cabinet meetings held on Tuesday, the 23rd of February 2021, page 45 to 48, and from Tuesday, the 9th of March 2021, page 49 to 58, and Tuesday, the 6th of April 2021, page 59 to 62. Can we move those minutes? Great. And then I'll go to consider the minutes of, first, the Corporate Services and Economic Growth Overview. And,
Sorry, Chair, that was a question on those minutes.
Right, beg your pardon.
On page 47, where it referred to financial support package for Advanced Northumberland, there's no other information available to members who weren't part of the Cabinet. Obviously, we've seen a lot in the press and other things since then, and I wondered if it was possible for the leader to commit to giving the opposition leaders an update on the current position.
I can see the leaders saying yes to that. Okay. I will turn now to page 63 to 66, which is the Corporate Services and Economic Growth Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and I go over to Councillor Bourne.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to move those minutes, page 63 to 66. Thank you.
Okay, are they agreed as minutes? Agreed, thank you very much. I go to page 67, Family and Children's Services Overview and Scrutiny, and I pass over to Councillor Swinburne.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the minutes for Family and Children's Services Overview and Scrutiny, and that is for Thursday the 4th of February, also for Thursday the 4th of March, and again for Thursday the 1st of April. Thank you.
Sorry, are they agreed? Thank you. I'll go over to page 85, Community and Place Overview and Scrutiny, and I believe that is Councillor Jeff Reid. Welcome back, Jeff.
It is, Chair. Yeah, just move the minutes on pages 85 to 100, Chair.
Thank you very much. Are they agreed? Thank you very much. I go over to the Health and Wellbeing Board, page 121, and I believe that is Councillor Dodd.
Yeah, I'll move the minutes for the meetings held in February, March and April. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dodd. Are they agreed? Thank you very much. And then I go over to page 143, the Audit Committee, Councillor Hill.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. I move the minutes of the Audit Committee held on the 24th of March as set out on page 143 to 154.
Okay. Are they agreed? I see Councillor Dale has your hand up. Councillor Dale.
Thank you very much. Could I just refer to page 151, which is the paragraph from the bottom. And it was just the Mazars report on the audit for 1990-1920, which they have said will be qualified. Can I just say, I know that there's a lot more reporting to come back from Mazars, but there's also other external bodies who are also going to report back on the work of the council. I also note that, and I'm very pleased, two things, that the council has asked the Sitford to come in and do a financial review of the financial management of the council. And also I welcome Councillor Sanderson bringing in an external auditor. I think we should have had, after last 3 years, I've had concerns, as EY have. So I welcome that. But what I was going to say is we've got all these reports due together with the one from Mazars. And could we make sure that nobody gets excited after this meeting today, and we all sit back and wait for the reports to come in, including, importantly, the external auditors, before any decisions are taken about changing anything in any way? And I ask that of Councillor Sanderson, please.
No, there won't be, Councillor Dale.
Sorry, Councillor Sanderson, I can't hear.
You said that was no, it won't be, Councillor Dale.
Sorry?
He was in agreement with you, Councillor Dale.
Just would you say thank him greatly,
Yeah,
because I appreciate that.
There we are. You've been thanked. I'll go over to the next set of... sorry, Councillor Dickinson.
Sorry, very quickly. On that committee, we had a shareholder update on the wholly owned company arrangements. I know I touched on it earlier, but Councillor Swinburne in particular raised an issue on under 101, paragraph 2, where a lot of the information contained he felt needed a wider audience. I didn't know if the leader felt like he agreed with Councillor Swinburne, if there's something we could do about that. And just so you know, Glenn, Anne said thanks for saying you agreed with her at the back.
Thank you very much. I don't know what I'd do without your support.
Okay, I will go into the Standards Committee, page 155 to 158. That was actually my first committee on standards. There's only two of us who were councillors. Well, actually, Councillor Wallace, you were there, but you weren't a county councillor, so welcome to the county council. I will move those minutes as a true record. Is that agreed? Great, thank you. Okay, and then I'll go over to...
Chair, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
I just wanted to ask a question on those, because it makes reference to a large number, and it makes reference to various other points within there, but not any other information for members who aren't involved. I just wondered, I don't know if you can or anyone can advise how many are rolling into the new council and if we still have a big dead weight in terms of large numbers around our neck.
Yeah, well, Councillor Sanderson wishes to take this one.
I don't know the exact position, but I have asked the Chief Executive for figures on this, and I think that's on its way, because clearly we don't want that to happen, and as you say, to be a continuing situation if we can avoid it. So it's in hand.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I then go to the Food Poverty Working Group and Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to present an interim report of the Food Poverty Working Group.
And do we agree that? Thank you. I'll now go into point 16 on the agenda. Delegate. Yeah, sorry.
Chair.
Yes.
Did he not want to do health and well-being?
I do beg your pardon. There's two health and well-beings. I'll go over to page 101 to 120. Councillor Bainan, were you the chair of that committee?
I was,
yeah,
Chair.
okay. Do you wish to move the minutes, Councillor Bainan? Very kind of you.
Quickly forgotten. Thanks, Chair. Very happy to present the minutes of the Health and Wellbeing and Scrutiny Committees for the 2nd of February, 2nd of March and 6th of April. Two small typos, I believe. On February, March, they have 2020 instead of 2021.
Okay. Do we move those as a true record? Agreed. Thank you very much. I'm just 1 second. We've got a recommendation on the Food Poverty Working Group that needs approving as well. Do we approve the recommendation as set out at the end of that report? Agreed. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I then go on to item 16, delegated decisions, to receive details of delegated decisions taken since those reported to County Council on Wednesday the 6th of January 2021, and that's page 167 to 168, and I believe those are to note. We've got a question. Councillor Hill.
Thank you. Just on the approval of the LTP, there's been things in the press and talks about nationally and locally cuts to budget and so on. Can we have assurance that the things that in the current LTP, even if the longer term projection is that we might not get as much as has been happening over recent years, is the current LTP, is that safe?
Well, this is quite a complex question, that. In a nutshell, we got a lot more than we expected last year. We also put in quite a lot of extra money ourselves into the LTP and into our roads programme. I think I'm right in saying, yes. I think I'm right in saying that the figure is about what it normally is this year. We got pretty much what we wanted, but I can give you exact figures if you want them. I'll do that. I'll write to you. Yep.
Okay, I've got Councillor Bridget.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It was just, are there actual details regarding the decision that was taken in relation to the LTP programme for UNC roads and footways? Is there any further details to go with that? It's just, it would be helpful, particularly in my area. I was hoping I was going to be battling Glenn on this one, but it looks like it's going to be John, where I've got residents who can't get their bins collected because of the state of the U roads up to their properties. So any investment in U roads would be greatly received.
Well, John's keeping his head down, so I'll pick that one up. I've taken a few journeys actually recently to Rothbury just to see how it was going with the diversion and how many people were enjoying life in Rothbury. And I did drive around, and I've driven around quite a few places, and I've been very impressed with the state of the roads in the Rothbury ward. I do accept that there are some areas that we still need to invest in, but the roads programme is looking very healthy for this year, and I'm sure we will make sure that your ward receives the attention it deserves.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I think they were just to note, weren't they? So I go to item 17, which is to receive and consider the following annual reports enclosed as Appendix 4, page 221 to 260, and that's for overview and scrutiny in committees, standard committees, pension fund panel and armed forces forum. Can I just accept that we agree those reports? Agreed. Thank you very much. I don't see any hands. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Derek, is it going to be about pension fund?
How did you guess?
It's my favourite subject, Derek. But I'll let you go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. I'll just find my page. Oh, God, there's too many pages. Yeah, it was just to say, I'm sure that the chairman will come in, just to say, it's been another. The pension fund, I don't think many members realise how much money is actually invested in the pension fund, but it is a significant amount. It does do a lot of good work for all the pensioners of Northumberland County Council and all those who are also within the LGPS. I would draw your attention to, because it is significant amounts, but I will draw your attention to, please, councillors, to page 255, and just to show you the performance of the pension committee and its decision making. It makes a lot of strategic decisions about investments, and in the last 10 years, between 2010 and March 2020, obviously that's before COVID hit, but we actually turned 719 million into 1.4 billion. So we actually doubled that amount of return, that fund value, in 10 years, which is pretty impressive going when you consider we had things such as Brexit, and then obviously the march of COVID was on the horizon at that time, because it obviously had hit Southeast Asia, but not the UK by that time. I'd also draw your attention to, if I can find the page, I just had it, that we have on page 251. This is something I was really keen on, and there was a lot of discussion within the panel, but if I can draw your attention to the top of page 251, is like how we've moved the equities. You can see on the first line there where we were heavily invested in the UK, but we've now moved an awful lot of that equity out of the UK into more global markets as a way of managing our risks and divesting right across the world. So really making this pension fund into a global pension fund. I'm not saying we had foresight about COVID or Brexit, but I think that was obviously the right decision, to try and manage risks. So I'd also just like to point out, what a really well-managed and well-behaved fund panel it was. Everybody sort of dealt with each other with real respect. I think it was a real model of how a council can actually work. We never took politics into there. We actually worked really, really well, and actually showing you the figures that we came up with is an example of what happens when people actually work together. So, I'd just like to highlight that, and, I congratulate Councillor Sanderson on becoming the leader, and I hope, this is the start of a new council, and I hope everybody can press the refresh button and put behind us some 2 very difficult years for this council. I know I'm going on and beyond the pension fund here, but I wanted to say this anyway. But, I do this with great honour. I do think we need to put away a lot of what's gone on in the past, how we've been dragged through the press, the poor PR for the county council. Let's press the refresh button. Let's look to brighter days and work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I've got Councillor Dickinson has his hand up.
It was just a point on the pension panel there, and I'm really pleased that we'll have Councillor Kennedy, who thoroughly enjoys that, because it really doesn't float my boat. But I'm really pleased that the financial position's going well. The only thing I would stress, and Councillor Kennedy will be on the panel again, I see, we need to make sure that ethical investments are considered at times, because I am concerned about some of the proportion and areas in which the pension fund invests at times. So I would just make that plea to keep it on your radar, and maybe update us with some exciting news in another year's time or something.
Okay, thank you. I've got Councillor Jeff Watson, and then I've got Councillor Anne Dale, and then I'll try and look to move some progress. Councillor Watson.
Just want to say thank you, first of all, to Derek for his excellent assessment. I was keeping my mouth shut to try to keep the meeting short. Everything he said, I totally agree with. As you might know, I've been the chair for the past 4 years, and I can assure Councillor Dickinson, as I'm sure Councillor Kennedy would as well, we do consider ethical investments. We do have panels that do that. We do receive training, and the Board of the Coast, who invest our stuff for us, are really, really up to it. So your concerns there, I can assure you, are well taken care of. And again, I reiterate, the work that's done has been first class. The staff has been amazing. Claire Gorman, who I think some of you may know, is now just doing the fire service one, but she's been excellent, and it's well run, and it's been a pleasure. And I don't find it boring at all. No. Thank you.
Okay, I've got Councillor Anne Dale, and then
Yeah.
I'll go to Stephen Bridget very quickly.
Thank you very much. Can I go to paragraph 28 on page 255? And just to say, I think, Jeff, and we remember going back to 2008 days when we were at the pension panel, and one of the main concerns there was the age profile of the pension fund active membership at the county council. And I think that would be something in the future that we would like to look at as a matter of interest. Not only that, it could be a financial liability on the council. So it's just something that is actually quite interesting for people to understand about what liability we have, if any. At the moment, probably none, but we could have in the future. So if we could have an input or a report on that, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Bridget on Armed Forces, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. It was just to obviously say I welcome the report and thank you to both Jeff and Gordon. But one of the things certainly I'm going to be asking questions about to understand a lot more because it's not my field of expertise, despite my father being in the army. But I've got residents who are both serving and former serving who are struggling to access mental health support within our community. And in the last 6 months, I've had 2 residents, both one serving who actually took his own life 3 weeks ago, and one about 5 months ago who had left the service but took his own life. So I've had 2 in the space of about 6 months, and both under 50. So I need to understand that a bit better, and I have been approached by a number of serving and former serving personnel who have asked and who have contacted me and highlighted the difficulties they're having, particularly in accessing support for PTSD. So I welcome a conversation with Jeff and Gordon going forward on that, and if they can point me in the right direction, I'd really appreciate it.
If I can, Barry.
Yeah, I'm going to. Could you just well, I've got Councillor. I've got Councillor Watt. Thank you. Very important point, Stephen. I've got Councillor Watson and I've got Councillor Castle, so I'm going to let Councillor Watson in.
Thank you for that. We have a couple of full-time employees in this council. Their job is to deal with exactly those sort of instances. If you contact Jackie Roll or me with those names and addresses, I'm going to assure you we'll take care of it. There are many and numerous services available to people. I think sometimes they don't realise they're there, and sometimes the services don't know that people need them. So what we need to do is to get that through, Jackie or me, and we'll pass them on. I can assure you they'll be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Castle.
Yeah, I've got really nothing to add to that, Chairman. That's pretty much the case. There are excellent organisations. Sometimes they don't actually speak to one another. I could say that we could improve the coordination, but it's very well organised. I'm impressed myself. Anything like that, any member has a difficulty with a former member of the a veteran of any kind, please get in touch with Jeff and me. Be dealt with. Thank you.
Okay, I've got Councillor Dickinson and Councillor Carty. So, Councillor Dickinson.
Thanks very much, and thank you to Jeff and Gordon for this report. When my dad retired from the RAF and then became publican and then retired again, He joined the Rafa Association and works on behalf of veterans in the Northumberland area. There is an increased amount at the moment in terms of hardship and other issues relating to former veterans, not only of the Royal Air Force, but others. I would welcome if Councillor Watson and Castle could create some kind of index almost of those people that Councillor Watson refers to that are available within the council, not only for members, but for those people who are trying to assist people within the community. And I think it's really good that we do have dedicated people. And if they are there, like you say, Councillor Watson, it may well be the case that a service can help them virtually immediately, but they don't know it's there. So if there's something we can do about that, I'd be grateful.
Thank you. I'll go to, and I think that's probably something we want to signpost to all members, what you've said there. Councillor Carty.
Actually, Councillor Flux, thank you for letting me come in, but I was going to ask that exact same question of what Scott's just asked. Obviously, working in the community, we work with people who could do with some support. I did know that was to work as a county, but it would be very, very good to have a directory of other services, please, for all members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carty.
I will do that. I'll ask Jackie to do it, but I have to tell you, it's a very complicated system out there. There are myriads of organisations, people who deal with blind welfare or mental health welfare or limbless welfare, and it's the best course, really. And I hope Jackie's listening to me. I don't know where she is, but she's behind me. She's not poking me in the shoulder, I can tell. But I think we'll just get him, if we get him to you, Jackie. Yeah, we'll just get anything like that, please, to Jackie in the interim, and we'll try and sort out a list that will help you more than that. But anything at any sort, we want to know, and we will deal with it. I promise you, I'm not aware of anybody who's ever approached us for help that we haven't been able to see. So please do that. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands. I think we moved those as approved record, and then we went into several pieces there. So I'll go to the next point on the agenda, which is we're into part 2, and at this point I will say that we need to move the exclusion of public and press. Can I have someone move that? Agreed. That's been agreed. I'll say moved by Councillor Daly. I can see him nodding. Seconded by Councillor Stewart. I can see him nodding. Okay, so can we cut the YouTube stream? It's been done. And can I ask, it might take a few seconds, can I ask that members of the public leave, and just remember to leave in a COVID secure manner, please?